What is up, guys? Now I'm NarendraTheComic, and right now we're going to be reviewing, yes, reviewing JJ Season 2. That's 4-2. Jessica Jones Season 2. You knew that because the title, I don't know why I tried to make it more than it was. It's Jessica Jones Season 2. I'll be honest with you. First word review. Let down. That might be 2 words. I don't know. I don't care. I'm just saying let down. And yeah, that is honestly how I feel about this show. Just to start off, I am taking aside all the SJW stuff. I'm ignoring that because I'm just going off a storytelling point of view. I'm going off of how I felt the writing was, how the flow of the entire season was. Not to do with the little nitpicks about, oh, this character was too this or this character was too that, so politically or whatever way. This is solely based on the show. And for me, this is the worst Netflix show out of all the Marvel shows, alright? Luke Cage was my least favorite before. It wasn't bad. The first half was really good for me, but the second half of Luke Cage was rubbish. The first half was great with Cottonmouth, because Marshala Ali, I think his name, he really was good as the villain. But this show was definitely worse than that. And the reason why this show was worse than that is because it didn't have a fucking villain. A show that doesn't have a villain, an antagonist, a real one there, doesn't have drive. The thing with this show was it was fed and it was continued and pushed on by confusion from the character's point of view, not from drive. And I think it really missed that. And from me, you know, storytelling wise, it's something which you rarely see people do where there's not a villain in a show like this. So for me, it's thank you for doing it, because it showed me you can't do this. It doesn't work. There's a missing factor here. And you saw that very clearly with the fact there was a lack of David Tennant and Purple Man from the first season. I'm really ill right now. You'll probably tell my voice is weird. My nose is running, all this stuff. You really felt the lack of that villain who was as iconic as David Tennant, as the Purple Man, as Kilgrave. I mean, with all the stuff with Time's Up, Me Too, that stuff, fine, you know, and I think maybe that storyline would have been even more relevant today than it was 2.5 years ago when the first season came out. But yeah, the characters just didn't have a drive. They didn't have a determination for something, and you felt that through the writing. I thought the writing was not great. The acting was good. I liked the acting. I think everyone put in very good performances. I liked Malcolm a lot. I don't know the actor's name, but I want to know his name because I remember watching him in the originals when I used to watch that, and I really liked him in that. And in the first season of Jessica Jones, he was a standout, and he had that same draw to him in this season as well. Trish again was very good. Very different feel to her than the first season. I'm not sure I like the way they're gonna go with her in the third season, but I liked her in this version for sure. The villain who was the villain, who wasn't really the villain, who just confusing stuff. The actress portrayed it very well. I just think that it wasn't right. The storyline wasn't right. The threads between the storylines were all decent, but it just didn't culminate in something good. Jessica was probably the weakest actor out of the lot of them. I think some of her scenes were a bit flat. She was still very good. I like her a lot, but some of her scenes were a bit flat. Actually, there was someone worse than her. Oscar in the show, when you watch it, his scenes are pretty null and void of anything, apart from the paint scene where they're painting their bodies with their bodies. Yeah, it was a bit disgusting, I'll be honest. Painting all those crevices in your body, not really a fan of that. Someone who I thought had really good character development was Hogarth. I thought she was very well fleshed out. The problem is, it was like super stereotypical of a lesbian. Like, it was maybe not, you know, using the right tropes to put the character forward in. I don't know if I don't think that's a good thing that they made the character have the all the sex she did. Yeah, I think this show is very sex heavy. That's absolutely fine. Luke Cage has sex scenes, Iron Fist had sex scenes, Daredevil has sex scenes. All of them have. They're all 15 plus, so you know you expect that. But just this show particularly is just like so sex heavy. It's a bit ridiculous. Actually, Trish said a line in the show which was something like, you shouldn't be having all this meaningless sex or something like that. And when I heard that, I mean, I'm not going to the SJW stuff, but I was like, some people are going to have a problem with that, I think. Somewhere in the internet, there'll be something about that. Somewhere in the internet, they'll be like, no, she's a woman, she can do whatever she wants. I mean, Malcolm said it to her as well. So Malcolm saying it to her, people might get a bit terse about, but then Trish said it to her as well, her sister, so I don't know how that's going to play out. I like the cinematography a lot in the show. I did think the editing was a bit weak. There were scenes which just weren't put together properly. Continuity stuff wasn't right. I've noticed this actually more and more in the shows so far. Ever since the first season of Daredevil, it's got slowly and slowly worse, and this may actually be the worst edited Netflix show as well. Possibly. I'm really annoyed though. There was one character I was like, I want this character to be sick and really cool, and it was the Asian guy, P.F. Chang's or whatever. I'm joking. His name was something Price. I can't remember his first name. I wanted that character to be so cool and so fun and so interesting, and he just wasn't, and they just completely could have done something with that character. He had a charisma and look to him, and they just chucked it in the bin. Like, he could have been something very, very useful for the show, and they wasted it, I think. They really, really wasted it. I'm really disappointed. I am. A show which was so good. The first season of Jessica Jones is my favorite Netflix Marvel show, and it's gone from being my favorite show in season 1 to my least favorite show in season 2, which is crazy because I didn't think they'd drop the ball this much, and they managed to severely like muck it up. It's shocking considering how much I liked the first season. Some people didn't like the first season, which I was surprised at because I thought it would be universally liked. One thing which was common that a lot of people didn't like with the first season, I remember, was people didn't like the pacing of it, said it was a bit too slow, but people say that about every Netflix show apart from basically Daredevil. All the others have said it's too slow, the build-up, the pacing isn't right. I think this was far worse filmmaking than the first season. The story was nowhere near as good. It was relevant in what's happening right now and the SJW push in certain ways, but I don't like that stuff. I don't like my entertainment to be swayed one way or another. If there was some ridiculous right-wing Nazi shit in it that's put in there like it's like on the sly, I don't want that either, you know? But they just did it for the sake of doing. A lot of the lines were snide, and I was like, I don't want this. I don't need this. I'm ill right now. I'm gonna turn you off. And my sister was like, nah, Naren, we have to watch it. We have to watch it. She's also ill. So we're like, all right, I guess we watch it. I actually did want to turn off the season. And I wanted to do that with actually Luke Cage when it got to like episode 8 or 9, I think, maybe 9, when Diamondback was properly introduced. I was like, I want to turn this off. Like, it just got so much worse from the beginning. So, you know, you can't have everything. So in terms of rating, I'd probably give Jessica Jones season 2 a flailing 5 out of 10. I'll give it a 5. But definitely the worst so far. I think Luke Cage season 2 will be an improvement on the first season, so I'm happy about that. They just need to get a strong villain in there. I hope it's not, you know, Cottonmouth's cousin, because she was pretty weak as well in my opinion. Like Diamondback was pretty crappy. Unfortunately, I think that they have a problem with villains in most of these shows, just like in the movies they have a problem with villains. But I think David Tennant's Purple Man was one of the best TV villains ever. Like, I think he was so sadistic and weird and crazy and mind-boggling. He put in such a good performance. I won't spoil whether David Tennant's in this show or not. What I will spoil is that in the trailers, I guess he is in the show. I'm not going to tell you how he's in the show or what way, if he's alive, if he's dead, if it's a flashback, if it's a cameo. I'm not going to tell you, but he is in the show, so you'll get a little bit of Tennant flavor in there. And they worked him in the show very well. That's something I liked. I liked how they worked him in the show because it fit with what was happening at the time, and it showed a different side to her almost, and I really enjoyed that part. I don't want to spoil anything. Anyway guys, if you did enjoy this video, please do like, share, comment and subscribe to the channel down there. If you didn't, then Jessica Jones herself will come after you, and you don't want that. No, you really don't. You really don't. She will get drunk and she will whoop your candy ass, and you don't want that. You really don't. So just subscribe to avoid that. I've been NarendraTheComic. You have been great, and I'll see you next time. skadoosh.